Hello friends, how are you? Welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm showing you how I turned 7 leftover prime rib bones with plenty of meat still left on them into multiple meals. And instead of letting anything go to waste, I'm gonna utilize everything on these bones. First, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sear the ribs a little bit and start a really rich bone broth. And then I'm going to pull some meat off of the bones after around 4 hours of the bone broth just simmering. And with that meat, I'm going to make a very yummy prime rib over creamy mashed potatoes. And then the other dish that I'm super excited about is going to be prime rib over noodles. So those are the 2 dishes I'm making, plus the bone broth that I'll be able to use throughout the year. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me tonight in my kitchen. And please don't forget to subscribe. I would really appreciate that. That would help my channel grow. I'm really trying to work hard on this channel so that when I retire, maybe in 10 years, that's like such a long time, but that I have some residual income, because the Social Security obviously is not going to be enough, and what I've been able to save, maybe the 10 years I might actually be okay, but still, I want residual income, and this is fun to do. So I'm really looking forward to growing this channel. So if you would please make sure to subscribe, like the video, and if you can leave a comment and let me know where you're watching from, I would really appreciate that. All right, let's get started. Okay, I'm gonna turn the camera off and get ready here. All right, so here I have the prime rib, and you can see there's still lots of meat left on this. So I should be able to make both of those dishes, honestly, with probably plenty of meat for both dishes, because it's just me. So I might even have leftovers. And then here, this is what I'm gonna be using for my bone broth. I am gonna be using some apple cider vinegar, not too much, around a tablespoon. And this helps bring out the collagen from the bones. And then rosemary, carrots, celery, some crushed garlic with the little skin on it still, and the onion with the skin on it. And you know, this has tons of flavor, vitamins, and nutrients. So yeah, super important to leave that stuff in. So anyway, that's what I'm gonna be using, and yeah, let's get started.
All right, you know I have to use my beautiful truffle oil, so that's what I'm going to use to sear the ribs. And I'm just going to give them a really quick sear. The truffle oil with the prime rib and all of the seasonings that I had originally put on the prime rib, this smells so good right now. I'm adding the vegetables and the rosemary now, and I'm just going to kind of toss them around a little bit to get the aromas going. I will not be adding salt to this broth because the prime rib already has salt. When you add your water, here I'm adding filtered water, but when you add your water, make sure you add plenty of water to cover. You want to just make sure the vegetables, the bones, everything is covered. Okay, here I'm going to be adding the 7 ribs. Just going to throw them in there. They should all fit. This is probably going to make around 4 jars, mason jars of broth. We'll see at the end. Next is the apple cider vinegar, and I'm going to add around a tablespoon. After simmering for about 8 hours, this is what it looks like. I decided I was going to let it simmer for a total of 24 hours. And this is what it looks like after simmering for about 14 hours. And you can see that the bones are starting to get brittle, and that's what we want. Beef bones crack during long, slow simmering, and usually after 24 hours or more, the heat and the acidity breaks down the collagen and all of the connective tissues that hold the bone structure together. And this is called the process of leaching out the nutrients, minerals, and marrow, leaving the bone super brittle and porous and prone to cracking and crumbling. I decided 24 hours was enough and that I am ready to finish this cooking project. And so I decided to go ahead and take out the meat and start separating the meat from the bones. And I'm going to show you how, yeah, it's hot. I'm not patient. I'm trying to get all that meat off. And by the way, I was eating some of this meat as I was doing this, and it's so good. After cooking in that broth for such a long time with the vegetables, absolutely delicious. I decided to speed up this clip of me deboning. I probably ended up, well, hold on. Out of the 7 ribs with all the meat that you saw before I put it all in the pot, I probably ended up having a total of around 2.5 pounds of prime rib meat, which I'll be using for 2 recipes. Again, it's going to be a recipe with prime rib over mashed potatoes, and then another yummy recipe with prime rib over pasta. And I'll be uploading those videos here as well. This is the last rib, and it's hard to tell, but yeah, I ended up getting a nice amount of meat off of all 7 ribs, so I'm excited about this. I just wanted to share with you real quick what the bones look like once they start to break down. If I would have left it longer, that would have been even a better, healthier broth, but I was running out of time. I had to get this project done. After removing the broth, I allowed it to get to room temperature. Then I put it in the refrigerator overnight so that it would separate the fat from the broth. And look how delicious this fat looks. If you're wondering if I saved this fat or not, I did. I actually did save this fat. It's a nutrient dense source of healthy fats and fat soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. And this rendered fat provides sustained energy and it aids in the absorption of micronutrients from the broth. It adds significant flavor when you cook with it, which is what I'll be doing with it. And it can trigger pathways within your body that improve the body's ability to use fat for fuel. So it's super important to keep this fat and use it when you cook. This fat also helps with reducing inflammation, and it's going to be a slow burning fuel that'll aid in satiety, which is good, right? We all want that. Of course, I talked about the flavor and the texture and the richness of it. The broth itself is rich in itself. Also, the fact that it's a versatile cooking fat, which I had mentioned as well. This is called the golden fat, which can be used for roasting and sauteing, which is what I'll be using it for. You can see that I have a pot of potatoes boiling. Those are for the prime rib over creamy mashed potatoes dish that I'm going to be making, and these are the vegetables that I'm sauteing for that. I'm using the broth to start sauteing these carrots and onions for the dish. I didn't record it, but I also threw some of that fat under the vegetables. You can't see it, but some of that rendered fat is in that pan. My prime rib over creamy mashed potatoes dish I will also be posting. You can see the beautiful rich color of this broth, and this is after simmering for 24 hours. Next year when I make my prime rib, I will make a video of it being simmered, or the leftover bones being simmered for 48 hours. I'm actually excited to try that. I'm going to go ahead and speed up this clip as well so that we can get to the end and you can see how gorgeous and how many mason jars of broth I ended up making with the 7 bones. All right, this is the last of it. I made a mess, but it was a fun mess. Look at these mason jars. Aren't they gorgeous? That's 4 big jars of rich, homemade prime rib bone broth. It has really deep color, full of goodness, and you just know it's going to taste amazing when I use it for cooking. I love seeing it all come together like this, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next 2 dishes that I'm making with the meat. Prime rib over creamy mashed potatoes, and prime rib stroganoff-ish type dish over pasta. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.